Now, September 2025, as you have been introduced to this meditation, you know that this meditation is known as Vipassana Bhavana, insight meditation, also known as Satipatthana Bhavana, mindfulness meditation. But let us take a step back and ask, what is meditation itself? What does the word meditation actually mean? The most commonly used Pali term for meditation is bhavana. I repeat, bhavana. It is Pali word. The first meaning of the bhavana is it is a practice. It is the practice that must be developed, cultivated, and fulfilled with continuous effort. According to this definition, meditation is not just about sitting with eyes closed or walking back and forth to relax or to relieve the discomfort from sitting meditation. It is about to it is about the practice to be cultivated, to be developed and cultivated. Just as a farmer cultivates a field to get a harvest, we need to cultivate the mind to harvest peace, wisdom, and liberation. So let it be understood clearly. According to the definition, mindfulness and meditation is not optional, it is mandatory. Meditation is mandatory, not merely optional for anyone who seeks purification, mental purification, liberation from suffering, and inner peace. So meditation is mandatory as well extremely important. Meditation is like breathing. Breathing is both mandatory and extremely important for survival. Why? Because it must be done by yourself. No one can breathe for you. Second, it must be done in the present moment. Each breath is needed now. Or it must be continuous. Life depends on its regular rhythm. And fourth, it is your lifeline. Every breath brings oxygen, purifies the blood, and sustains the body. In the same way, meditation is also both mandatory and deeply important. First, it must be done by yourself. No one can meditate for you. Second, it must be done at the right time, and that time is now. The present moment is the only time we can observe and know the mind. And it is especially important to practice while we are still physically and mentally healthy, young and strong. These are ideal conditions to cultivate mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. When the body is unwell, the mind is weak, or energy is low, meditation becomes more difficult. Although the practice is always open to us, illness, pain, and aging can limit our capacity to sit, focus, or train the mind effectively. Third, it must be regular and consistent, just like the breath. Meditation must flow steadily. And fourth, it purifies the mind. Every moment of mindfulness helps cleanse defilements and bring clarity, calm, and insight. When mindfulness develops, mindfulness protects your mind, mindfulness prevents defilements, mindfulness does not give rooms for defilements, hence mind becomes pure, clean. Each and every moment when mindfulness is present, mind remains clean and pure. And when the mindfulness gets momentum, it permits to arise concentrations. And when concentration develops, mind becomes more pure, more clean, and peace as well. And when concentration gets momentum, it permits wisdom to arise. Wisdom to arise. That's why meditation is mandatory as well as deeply important. Another example, meditation is like taking medicine when we are sick. Meditation becomes a lifeline. Why? Because it must be taken by yourself. No one else can take your medicine for you. Second, it must be taken on time. Delaying can reduce its effectiveness. Third, it must be taken regularly. Skipping doses weakens the cure. And fourth, it the right medicine treats not only symptoms but the deeper illness. Likewise, meditation is like inner medicine because it must be done by yourself. No one can purify your mind for you. Second, it must be done on time, and that time is always the present. Life is uncertain. None of us knows what will happen tomorrow or even in next hour. Health, strain, and favorable conditions are not guaranteed. Third, it must be done consistently. Occasional effort bring only limited results. And fourth, it traces the root of suffering. Each moment of mindfulness is dose of Dhamma medicine, gradually healing defilements. So in this way, and according to the definition, the first definition, meditation is mandatory. It is not optional. The second definition of bhavana is it is a practice. It is a practice that bring about arising of mental qualities that haven't arisen. I repeat, it is a practice that brings about rising of mental qualities that haven't arisen and nurtures those that have already arisen, helping them to grow and flourish. You practice meditation to develop the mental qualities, good mental qualities, or wholesome mental qualities that haven't arisen yet. Meanwhile, you practice meditation to nurture the mental qualities or wholesome mental qualities that have already arisen. You cultivate, you sustain, and fulfill them. So, meditation is the process of developing the wholesome from small to big, from subtle to strong, immature to mature, and few to many. So we are here to do so, but our mind stream is occupied by defilements as if it were their territory. They rarely give space for wholesome or skillful mental qualities to arise. It is also because the mind delights in evil. In Pali, we call, in Pali, it is stated as Papa Sami Ramati Mano. Papa Sami means in evil. Ramati means delights or takes pleasure. Mano means the mind. So the mind delights in evil, or the mind takes pleasure in unwholesome things. The untrained mind by nature tends to delight in unwholesome things. And an obvious example is this: right now, you are practicing meditation and giving your best effort, yet the mind is hardly delights in it. It's difficult even to complete 1 hour without changing posture. You give your best to observe the presently arising object, but mind easily wanders, mind easily shift to sense objects, pleasurable sense object, mind easily get distracted. But if we were sitting to watch a movie or play games, sitting for hours would not be hard at all. So in this way, we can say that mind, the mind of ordinary beings, let's say the mind of ordinary beings delights in evil. Defilements arise spontaneously. They don't require any extra effort. But to give rise to wholesome mental states requires conscious effort and intention. As I have just mentioned, to observe the meditative object, it requires conscious effort and intention. But to take the sense objects, it doesn't require the conscious effort and intention. Spontaneously, it takes those objects. That means spontaneously defilements or unwholesome mentalities arise. Unwholesome mental states arise on their own effortlessly and often without our awareness. In contrast, cultivating wholesome states like mindfulness, concentration, patience require deliberate effort and consistent practice. Meditators know for themselves how much effort is needed to generate wholesome states. It is also because we are ordinary sentient beings. We are the generator or producer of defilements. Hence, we are called Puthujana in Pali. The literal meaning of Puthujana is one who produces defilements. We keep producing defilements almost all the time. When we see visible objects, we generate greed if the object is pleasant. We generate anger if it's unpleasant. And we generate delusion, wrong view, ego-based belief if it's neutral. Similarly, when we hear, smell, taste, touch, and think, we generate defilements continuously. We generate defilements continuously. Every moment, every second, six sense objects strike on six sense door, and in response, we generate or produce defilements. Millions and billions of mind movements arise within a single second. I repeat, millions and billions of mind movements arise within a second. So just imagine how many defilements are being produced continuously. We have already accumulated countless, we have already accumulated countless number defilements throughout beginningless past. Even now, at the present moment, we are producing them, and we will continue to do so in future unless we make significant effort to develop wholesome mental states. Wholesome mental state. That's why we are here. That's why we are here to lessen, to weaken and destroy the defilements that have already arisen, and to prevent those defilements which that haven't arisen yet, and to generate or to give rise to wholesome mental qualities that haven't arisen, and to cultivate, sustain, and fulfill them that have already arisen. That's why we are here, but defilements will not give us easy opportunities to do so. As I have mentioned, defilements have already taken hold of the mind stream as if it were their rightful territory. They do not surrender easily. Therefore, we must engage in a kind of inner battle. To fight them, we need to build an army of wholesome mental factors such as effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, patience, and so on. A strong and well supported force is necessary to overcome the deeply rooted habits of greed, hatred, and delusion. That is why practicing meditation is often compared to a battle, not an external one, but an inner struggle between good and evil, between wholesome and unwholesome mental states. So it's a fight to free the mind from defilements and cultivate the forces of mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, compassion, etc. So in this 2-month retreat, I will try to explain how to fight to free the mind from defilements and cultivate the forces of mind and effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, compassion, etc. And the meditator's battle has already begun since yesterday morning. So we don't know who will win, but best wishes in advance. So best wishes for the yogis. So to talk before talking about how to free the mind from the defilements and cultivate the forces, we forces of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. I would like to talk about the enemy. The Pali word is Vaira, is enemy. So an enemy is someone who does not wish for the welfare or prosperity of another. An enemy is not just someone who openly harms, attacks, or criticizes you. More deeply, an enemy is anyone who does not wish for your well-being, happiness, or success, whether through thoughts, speech, or action. According to this definition, defilements or unwholesome mental states are also one's own enemies. They do not wish for your welfare or prosperity. In fact, they actively lead you away from peace, wisdom, and happiness. So defilements don't like it when you meditate, they don't welcome you. There are two types of enemies, internal and external. Or you could say distant and close enemy, or the less dangerous enemy and more dangerous enemy. In Pali, we call Puggala Vera. The first one is Puggala Vera, an enemy in the form of a person. Second is Akusala Vera, also known as, at times we use Kilesa Vera, an enemy in the form of unwholesomeness or defilements. An enemy in the form of a person is a distant enemy. Distant enemy. They cannot harm you at all time or in all places. It's less dangerous enemy. But an enemy or enmity in the form of defilements or unwholesome mental states is a close enemy. This enemy can harm you anywhere, and anytime, even when you are alone, is most dangerous enemy. The enemy in the form of unwholesomeness or in the form of defilements is the most dangerous enemy. The external enemy may harm your body, your reputation, or belongings, but their reach is limited. The internal enemy, like greed, hatred, delusion, lives within the mind. It follows you everywhere. It can disturb your peace, corrupt your decision, and keep you trapped in suffering. An external enemy, someone who hates or harms you, can only affect you in the present life. Only in the present life. Their power is limited. They may cause physical pain or emotional stress or worldly difficulties, but only within the boundaries of this lifetime. Once the life ends, their influence ends too. But the internal enemy, the defilements such as greed, hatred, and delusion, is far more dangerous. This enemy does not die with the body, it follows you from life to life. If left unchecked, it can lead to unwholesome karma or action and result in rebirth in lower realms such as the animal world, the ghost realm, or even hell realms. The internal enemy hides within the mind and influence your thoughts, speech, and actions every day. It causes suffering not only now, but also plants seeds for future suffering. Unless we recognize and uproot these enemies through mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, they will continue to harm us in this life and beyond. So, in this way, there are two types of enemies, close and distance, internal and external. The most, the less dangerous and the more dangerous enemy. So now we understood that defilements or unwholesome mental states are the most dangerous enemy which uh, stay within our mind. But what is, now we have to talk what are defilements. The Pali word for defilements is kilesa. It is Pali word kilesa, which carries several meanings in the context of the Buddha's teaching. The first and the most fundamental meaning is that kilesas are mental factors that defile the mind. They pollute, they corrupt, and they make the mind impure. So defilements are those mental factors that defile, that corrupt, that pollute, that impure your mind. And when the mind becomes defiled, polluted, and impure, it also becomes disgusting, ugly, and degraded. I repeat, when the mind becomes defiled, polluted, and impure, it also becomes disgusting, ugly, and degraded. And when the mind is in such a state, the physicality or the bodily expressions that arise from that defiled mentality also become defiled, polluted, impure, disgusting, ugly, and degraded. It is because mind or mental factors generates physicalities. There are many physicalities generated by mind and the mentalities. You have to understand this fact. I repeat, there are many physicalities and the mentalities generated by the mind and the mental factors. Hence, when the mind is in such a state, the physicality in such a state means when the mind is disgusting, ugly, and degraded, physicality or bodily expressions that arise from defiled mentalities are also become defiled, polluted, impure, disgusting, ugly, and degraded. As a result, the person who possesses that mind and body also becomes defiled in conduct, appearance, and character. No matter how much makeup they wear, no matter how beautiful or expensive their clothing may be, if the mind is filled with anger, greed, or delusion, the person still appears disgusting and unpleasing to those with wisdom. It is like a person smeared with plate or pieces, even if they cover themselves in fine garments, the stench and impurity remain. Just as people avoid feces, and filth because they are disgusting. Wise people naturally distance themselves from those who are overcome by defilements such as greed, hatred, and delusion. So, why the wise people distance themselves from those who are overcome by defilements? Because they are disgusting. As I have just mentioned, defilements are those which that defile the mind, that pollute the mind, corrupt the mind, and make the mind impure. When the mind becomes polluted, corrupted, and impure, it also becomes disgusting, ugly, degraded. And when the mind becomes polluted, corrupted, impure, disgusting, ugly, degraded, the physical and the bodily expressions that arise from the defiled mentality are become defiled, polluted, impure, ugly, disgusting, and degraded. So wise people avoid. Simply, when someone is angry, we avoid them. When someone is so greedy, we try to avoid them because they are disgusting, they are ugly, degraded, polluted. So, this is the first definition of defilement. The second definition of defilement is defilements are the mental factors that torture or torment the mind, that torture, torment, or agitate the mind. When you feel yourself agitated or tortured, tormented because of defilements, because of defilements. The another definition of defilements is defilements are the mental factors that cause exertion, mental exertion, that make your mind exhausted, that cause fatigue. Your mind become fatigued, exhausted. And when your mind becomes exhausted, when fatigue feeling is there bodily as well, you feel exhausted and feelings of fatigue is there. So again, the defilements or kilesa are those mental factors that cause exhaustion, mental exhaustion. The another meaning is defilements are those which the mental factors which burn up, which heat up the mind. At times you feel your mind burning or heated because of the defilements. Or you might be staying in the air conditioned room, still you feel heated. Mind is heated, and when mind is heated, your body also become heated. So it is also because of defilements. So these are the main definitions of kilesas, but if we add some extra definition, defilements are those which cause frustration, irritation, mm, cause violence. Your mind become violent. Your mind become cruel. So in this way, there are many definitions, mental factors that make your mind that weakens your mind. Right now, your mind is weak because of defilements. So you are here to make your mind strong. So in this way, there are many definitions of defilements, and as I've just mentioned, defilements are the most dangerous enemy, internal enemy, close enemy, and we are here to fight or free your mind from this internal enemy, to free yourself from internal enemy, from the most dangerous enemy, and from close enemy. So from tomorrow, we will continue how to free your mind from this internal enemy, from the most dangerous enemy. We will continue tomorrow. For this much for today. So may you all be able to practice the meditation as it is defined. Meditation is compulsory, not merely optional for anyone who seeks purification of the mind, liberation from suffering, and inner peace. It is mandatory, and it is the practice to bring about rising the wholesome mental states that have been arisen, and to nurture the mental qualities that have already arisen. By knowing the definition, may you all be able to develop and generate, give rise to the mental qualities that haven't arisen yet, and may you be able to cultivate, sustain, and fulfill the wholesome mental qualities that have already arisen.